you for joining me on the journey. This is Completed Christianity, so welcome back once again. Another episode of Being Complete, and today is fifth day, what they say. So jump right into this today, and we are going to be talking about what they say today. So we have this common phrase in our vernacular, our society, and it applies to all different types of groups, what they say. And so in this series, as we've talk about what maybe Christian pastors say, world leaders say, other different types of groups, what they say, what Hebrew roots leaders say, that all these things that might not be entirely accurate, that may be factually false. And so let's look at that today one more time. So most Christians and ministers, when confronted with verses like Exodus 31:16, and the children of Israel shall guard the Sabbath to perform the Sabbath throughout their generations as an everlasting covenant between me and the children of Israel. It is a sign forever. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. So when they're confronted with the idea that we should be keeping the law, it should be keeping the law of the Father as given through Moses, they often say, we're not Israel, we're the church, we're Gentiles. But this thinking has serious scriptural issues. Israel are those that are chosen by the Father to be his people through Abraham and his obedience to the Father. Abraham believed or had faith in the Father's ability to perform his promises. So Abraham believed what the Father said. So when we look at our scriptures and we look at those scriptures and we say, oh, well, that part I don't believe, that part I don't believe. Well, that's not what Abraham did. Abraham believed everything that the Father said, and that's what we need to do. We need to believe everything the Father said. There's certain things that today, because of the state that we're in and the dispersion, there's no temple, there's certain things we can't do today, but that basically just boils down to various offerings and sacrifices, animal sacrifices that were under the Levitical priesthood. So the scripture says that Abraham kept all the Father's laws, proving the law predates Moses and was re-given after the Egyptian captivity. Deuteronomy 26:4, and I shall increase your seed like the stars of the heavens, and I shall give all these lands to your seed, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall have favor, because Abraham obeyed my voice and guarded my charge, my commands, my laws, which are statutes, and my Torot, or laws. So my laws and my laws. Statutes and laws. Israel are those that are the chosen or predestined people of Yah. So like in the New Testament, it talks about predestination, and you have the whole Calvinism thing, and it's been debated for centuries now about predestination. Predestination is Yah chose Israel. That's predestination. That's what he's talking about. That's what Paul's talking about. That they're the ones that are chosen. Israel is chosen, and then everybody who is without Israel, outside of Israel, i.e. Gentiles, they can be grafted into the cultivated olive tree. They are those that are of the seed of Abraham and believe the word or laws of the Father, which is the Messiah. The Messiah is the word of Yah and is to be believed. This is the faith of Scripture. Hebrews 4:2, for indeed the good news was brought to us as well as to them. But the word which they heard did not profit them, not having been mixed with belief or faith in those who heard it. So to be Israel, it was always believing Israel. Israel is those that are of the seed of Abraham and believe. Romans 11:9, like we were talking about, you shall say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Good. By unbelief, they were broken off, and you stand by belief. Do not be arrogant, but fear. The olive tree mentioned in Romans 11 is used in the pre-Messianic scriptures or Old Testament, original Testament, to represent Israel. And if we are the people of the nations and we believe, then through the blood of Messiah we are grafted in to the children of Israel, not replacing, but becoming one with them that believe the word, the law of the Messiah. There's always believing Israel. There's never faithless Israel. There's always believing Israel. After all, there are no Gentiles in the new covenant. Hebrews 8:8, New Testament. For finding fault with them, not the law, he found fault with them. For finding fault with them, he says, see, the days are coming, says Yah, when I shall conclude with the house of Israel, or make with the house of Israel, and with the house of Judah, a renewed or new covenant. Renew, new, same thing. So, because the covenant is the everlasting covenant. So this covenant that's the everlasting covenant has to be everlasting. And this everlasting covenant is still the covenant we have today. It's just been made new. It's been made new under better promises. It wasn't that the whole of the covenant changed. It's just that more of the covenant was revealed and added to, and made the priesthood change that administered the covenant. So, the new covenant is with Israel, and as, quote, Gentiles, we have to be grafted in. Thus, there is no Jew and Gentile in the kingdom, as the scripture says. There is not Yehudi, Jew, nor Greek. There is not slave nor free. There is not male nor female, for you are all one in Messiah Yeshua. And thus, there is one people. If you are in the kingdom, in the new covenant, you are no longer a Gentile. Wherefore, remember that you, being in time past, Gentiles in the flesh. So remember that you were Gentiles in the flesh. You know that you were Gentiles. So no Gentiles in the kingdom. No Jew, no Gentile. One people, only Israel, believing Israel, the children of Israel. And the children of Israel shall guard the Sabbath to perform the Sabbath throughout their generations as an everlasting covenant. So when you're grafted into the cultivated olive tree, now you're Israel, you're believing Israel, and you shall keep the Sabbath throughout your generations as an everlasting covenant between me and the children of Israel. It is a sign forever. Have we done away with the sign of being his people? For in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh he rested and he was refreshed. So Messiah tells us that he made this day for us, that the Sabbath was made for man. He made this day for us. Are we just going to throw it out? But he himself keeps this day, kept this day, keeps this day. He was rested and was refreshed. Psalm 89:34. My covenant I will not break nor alter the word that has gone out of my lips. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Comment down below. Comments of opposition are welcome. Just don't say anything dumb like we're not under the law or under grace, because you've been taught to use that verse outside of the bounds of its intended context. Subscribe now. Smash that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you get notifications of all future videos.